Hey folks, so let's talk a little bit about Guardians. But before we do that, I just want to make mention that when it comes to the Craftworld Codex, there really isn't a bad unit in it. All the units are pretty effective or good in their own respect, but there are certain units that are better than others, so we just need to keep that in mind. Now, when we're talking about Guardians, we've got Guardian Defenders and we've got Storm Guardians. Storm Guardians, they're kind of a close combat unit, although not necessarily the most effective close combat unit. They can still get in there and cause some damage, but they need a lot of support. They do act well as a basically meat shield for some of your special characters, trying to get them up into close combat, soaking up those wounds beforehand. But to really make them effective in close combat itself, you need to get them up there, get them into the fight phase, and really support them with things like Warlocks and Farseers, stuff like Enhance and Drain and Protect and Jinx, just to try and get as much as you can out of this close combat unit as possible. And then, of course, using your Farseer with Doom, Guide if you really need to, and so on. But really, when you're taking a look at the Storm Guardian unit, you probably want to go in a group of 20, and it starts to get expensive. You can add on various different weapons, like the Chainsword, which is okay, it just gives them an extra attack. The weapons themselves, the blades, they're reroll to hit, but what you really need, because they're already hitting on 3s, is that reroll wound, and that's where your Enhance and your Doom is really going to make a big difference. When it comes to their special weapons, the Flamers and Melt is good, but when it comes to myself, I miss every single shot weapon that's ever out there. Now, when it comes to the Flamer, I really like that because you're getting more dice on the table, which is really important. When you're looking at the Guardian Defenders now, Guardian Defenders are very good. They're very fast, just like the Storm Guardians. They can both move 7 inches, and they can also advance using their battle focus and still be able to shoot as if they haven't moved, which is really nice, unless of course they have heavy weapons. So both units can still fire off their shuriken weapons without any problem at all. Shuriken weapons are beautiful when you're rolling 6s too, because you're actually hitting with a wound of -3 AP, which is really nice. Now, when you're taking a look at the weapons platform, which is really good, tossing on a heavy weapon of some kind or a shuriken cannon, which is an assault weapon, I know people kind of like to put their Guardians in the backfield and take on an objective and then just use that one heavy weapon to shoot at other stuff. And, a lot of people don't expect players to use the weapon platform as a save, and if you're in cover, it's a 3+ normal, so you got 2+ Guardians in cover, so that's not too bad for at least 2 wounds, or until you take 2 wounds that are unsavable. It is definitely a good way to go. But I like to get my Guardians up into the fray, move them as far up as possible, and get their shuriken catapults working. And that's what I'll typically do with them. So when it comes to the army itself, I will put them in Wave Serpents. I'll arm them with the shuriken cannon so I can take advantage of their battle focus. And then, of course, their shuriken special rule is also really nice too when you're getting up that close as well. So, anyways, as I was saying, you get your Guardian unit, you get them into a Wave Serpent, you back them up by a Farseer. If you really want, you can toss a Warlock in there, but I kind of like putting in something like an Autarch with a bunch of Swooping Hawks as well, and throw some wings on them. So you move your Wave Serpents up, and you fire everything you can with your Wave Serpents. So they're all firing up against the enemy. You're going to take a lot of shots back. Now, what I'll try and do is I'll move the Wave Serpents up about 24, maybe 20 to 24 inches. Take advantage of the range of the shuriken cannon, and keep in mind that your guys are going to be jumping out, and they can move fast, which we'll talk about in a minute. You just don't want to necessarily get assaulted, so you want to stay a little ways away from the enemy. Don't use the shields yet. Fire all of your shuriken cannons, and then wait for the shots back. Use your shield to protect yourself as best you can, taking off a wound here and there, and then, or a damage here and there, I should say. And then next turn, unleash the fury. So you jump all of your guys out and advance them. Advance them so you can either move them into cover and take advantage of that weapon platform save in cover, or move them into a position to make sure that there's room for more units to advance. Get those swooping hawks down and in behind your guardians with the Autarch and making sure his aura affects everybody around them. And then, psychic phase, start casting your doom. If you really need guide, you could cast guide, but the Autarch should be helping out a little bit there. Using smite if you need to. And then if you have some warlocks on the table, kind of like I have here, you can start using your enhance and embolden and stuff like that, or your jinx if you need to, whatever you feel is going to complement your army. And then unload you always start with, of course, your short range units first. You go through all your guardians, and then you go through your tanks. And this would be the point when you start using the shield if there's units that are just not dying and you really need to clean them off, because you really want to delete those units that are really close to you. In this situation here, that didn't necessarily happen for me, and I did take a lot of damage back, but typically you can delete a few marine units with this type of fire. So overall, probably, again, one of my favorite units in the game, and I really like getting them up into the face of the enemy and using those shuriken weapons as much as I can. So yeah, I don't usually go towards the heavy weapons because I like my guys on the move. And when you're looking at it and you're disembarking and you advance, you're moving at 7 inches plus another 3, so that's up to 10 inches, and then you could advance. You could potentially move up to 16 inches away from your vehicle. And a lot of people don't expect that. No one really expects just how fast Guardians are to get into certain locations and then start raining down fire on the enemy. So anyways, with that said, I'm kind of curious on how you guys run your Guardians. Do you keep your Guardian defenders in the back? Do you send your Guardian defenders up front? How do you run your Storm Guardians? Do you run them in blobs? Do you run them in small little units? How do you support them? Anyways, with that said, I look forward to hearing what your comments are, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye now.